Today's collectible spots, we are having a look at the Square Enix products, PlayArts Kai, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, figure number 2, Superman. Like with the Batman, he is recommended for ages 15 and up. To note, this figure also has a much smaller box than that of Batman. Batman had I would say maybe another third of a box wider. Side of the box, we've got Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, PlayArts action figure, figure number 2, Superman. The back shows you some of the different poses that you can put the figure in, along with a warning choking hazard listed down below. Finally, as just before we open up the box, there's a little Velcro, or I should say magnetized closure there. We can open that up slightly. On the right side, you see the figure with his interchangeable head. That's something else that this Batman's going to have, or Superman. Interchangeable head, interchangeable hands. And then on the right-hand side, we've got a read-up here. And the read-up actually covers both Superman and Batman, and then also the Kryptonian. We'll just read the Superman end of it, just so we don't bog down this review with an entire, several 10 minutes, 15 minutes of me reading. But the read-up says, fanaticism turns into fear. Does justice truly lie on the path laid before us? Planet Krypton was once a highly civilized planet before it met its fateful doom. Just as the planet disintegrated, a newborn Kal-El was sent to Earth by its own father, where he would be taken in and raised by the Kents. Slowly, Kal-El, now called Clark Kent, would realize his supernatural powers. After the death of Jonathan Kent, Clark took the words of his adopted father to heart, saving mankind countless times as Superman. But the wheels of fate spin out of control slowly. People begin to fear Superman's immense power, turning against him, calling him a false god. With his great power, has he become a god of destruction? Will he bring down to Earth? The fight for truth begins. Not a bad read-up, I suppose. Of course, takes a little bit more involved to read some of these more lengthy summary descriptions here. I gotta say, I'm not super thrilled with the artwork that they used for the Superman on the inside. Nonetheless, Spot's gonna take a break, gonna get this opened up, and when we come back, we're gonna get a better look at the new Square Enix products, PlayArts Kai, Superman and Batman, Superman versus Batman, Dawn of Justice, figure number 2, Superman. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so now that we have Superman out of the box, let's get a better look at the figure. Let's have a look at the accessories first, and then we'll look at the figure as a whole. His fists are defaulted closed shut fists. They're just simply punching fists, but he does come with a series of interchangeable hands, ones ranging from, well, really, because he's not going to be holding any sort of accessories, they're all basically, in some regards, just grasping hands. Ones of different sizes or different openings, so to speak. I guess he's got ones similar to one another, the left and the right, respectively. And then he's got, again, just a series of partially open hands. I wish he had come with something. I don't know what I would have. I guess I would have given him maybe the kryptonite spear. Something, it's relevant to the movie. It's something he held at one point, of course, when he's fighting Doomsday. Something. To be fair, though, in Superman's defense, he does come with a pretty cool alternate head sculpt. And the alternate head sculpt has him screaming with his, I guess not even really just screaming, but he's yelling with his heat ray vision eyes. The eyes are painted nicely, and I don't know if you can tell, but the pupils are painted white, whereas the rest of the eyeball is red. And then he's got that leaked out redness around the areas around his eyes as well. One nitpick I could probably make about the head sculpt, though, as cool as the head sculpt is, I don't like the fact that his teeth come across almost a pink/red color. It kind of makes him almost dead-like, and I wish that those were white rather than the color that they chose. It's almost, I almost want to say it's like a burgundy colored gold that they've given his teeth. Not crazy about that. I simply just pop that off the ball joint socket, plug that into place. You're good to go, but I don't know if I would display him to be all in all honesty, I don't know if I would display him with the screaming heat ray vision eyes, unless I was pitting him against Batman, which I'm not really sure if I'll do that or not. Put that to the side. Of course, as mentioned, probably would mentioned also with the Batman review, he does also come with a clear display stand. Probably I've mentioned that already, but I just didn't put it out on display. Some assembly is required, but you've seen those before with all these reviews. It's the same stand that carries over with all of these figures, unless you start looking at the really early released PlayArts Kai figure releases. So there's nothing really new to bring to the table with that, so I just kind of left it out, and it's actually still in the box, but he does come with the clear stand as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the figure itself. As a plus, I would say the figure is leaps and bounds better than the Man of Steel Superman, which we did have a look at on this channel. By all means, go check that out after this review if you'd like. This figure is a lot better than that Superman. It's not perfect, mind you, but I feel like it is better than that figure. Let's have a look at his head sculpt, which I guess could be, of anything, the topic of concern, which I guess is the one thing I wasn't crazy about with the Man of Steel Superman face. The face was ugly. I'm just no way really dodging around that one. It was an ugly face sculpt on the Man of Steel. This one's a lot better. It has still a slight anime look to it, and the reason why I say that is the very skinny, long neck that they've given him, as well as the very skinny face. He still retains very much a Superman facial sculpt, but you can tell that it's not... I don't think it delivers as strong as a head sculpt as I feared as the Batman. The Batman just is by far a much better looking head sculpt, but the argument again could be made, Batman simply is wearing a cowl. It's very easy to accomplish a head sculpt like that. Another positive I could make about the figure is the flesh tone. It's not a sickly, cold, pale skin color, that they did a pretty good job of giving him some extra shading around the neck, around the head, forehead area, and around areas that count. Also something I do like, and let's just bring the camera up a little bit, there we go. Get a good close-up look, why not? The one other thing I do like about the figure is the eyeballs and the mouth, that they give in a wet, slight wet wash to it, just to give it some necessary life. The head sculpt's relatively good. The hair sculpt's also relatively good. It's not perfect, but I think it does, and I think it gets the job done. As for the rest of his body, he's now wearing the Batman v Superman costume, which includes a lot more of the blues as opposed to the blacks or the darker colors that they used for the original. The end result actually is pretty good. I like the sheen also that they've given the costume, and the necessary washes of light and dark blue are well appreciated here in this figure. The cape also is done well. You have to overlook the fact that he's got this big strip of material or cape above it. It is to conceal, as you can see hopefully underneath, the ratcheted ball joints or ratcheted joints that allow the cape to be positioned in different ways. Yes, you can move the cape. Sometimes they're a little problematic to actually move, as you have to find which way the joint is rotating. But you can actually rotate and bring the cape either to the left or to the right, depending on how you want to have them displayed. You could, I guess, really just even split the cape, but then you've got a big glaring gap in between that just really doesn't make any sense at all. So if anything, I'm probably just going to be displaying the cape either to the one side or just straight down as you see right here. The emblem is nice. Props as well to the sculpt on the chest section of Superman. I think it delivers quite well. And in fact, what you're seeing right now with the Superman head almost arched down, I think is almost the way I'll probably end up displaying the figure. I think it hides enough of the necessary shortcomings. And I guess one of the more shortcoming areas is like the very sunken in lower portion of his face. By keeping the head slightly down, it seems to do a pretty good job of concealing some of that. Gives it slightly more the Cavill look that maybe is not as, probably not as noticeable when the head is up. Yeah, very good coloring. Coloring also in the boots. The cape also is a nice, bright, vibrant red. I like that. I have a little bit of an issue where the feet are really stuck. As you can probably see, they're slightly on a slight angle there. I keep trying just to slightly adjust it because I don't want to, I don't want that breaking off there. I don't want to have that actually breaking off. But other than that, I think figure is pretty good. Pretty good. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. In fact, segue ourselves over to the Batman that we already had a look at. Personally speaking, I think the Batman is leaps and bounds better than the Superman. The Superman, in its defense, does bring a lot more color to the table, but I think for an all-around sculpt, this one seems like a slight departure from looking like Cavill. This one looks like just a dead-on likeness of Affleck. Now, granted, he's got the cowl, but even still, I think this is a better-looking figure. It also looks like he's got much broader legs, too, which I find kind of funny. So we'll just move Batman out of the way. Spot's, of course, done the full review of him, so go check that out if you'd like. In the way of Superman's articulation, it's pretty much what you expected with Batman, just carried over to this figure here. So he does have the ball joint in the head, which does give you full range of motion there, but then he's got a secondary ball joint right from where the base of the neck attaches to the torso, right in there. So you get two different areas where you can rotate the head. You could slightly arch the head up, but it doesn't do the greatest of jobs. The neck kind of has to help out with a little bit of that. But ultimately, again, I'm probably just going to have the head tilted slightly down. Torso is on a ball joint. Now you have to be careful. That's one thing I do want to mention, though. You have to be careful on the torso. When you move the torso too far back, it lends to leave a little bit of a gap right there. And then when you move the torso forward, I don't know if you can see it or not, that torso wants to get caught right there, caught on the lower abdomen area. Just something you want to kind of be aware of. He's got another ball joint that attaches the abdomen section to the torso, where he does have a fair range of motion via a ratcheted joint in the legs, both forward and back. A little more limited forward because he's butting up against the underoos section of his torso. He's got a swivel cut on the thigh, which is very stiff. Very, very stiff indeed. Double hinge knees. And a hinge and pivot in the foot. He also has a little hinge on the toe section of his boots. Arms, which we kind of forgot about there for a second. The arms are full range of motion there. A rotation in the bicep. A ratcheted bend in the forearm via the elbow area there, and a ratcheted joint, although it's not as loud and clickety as Batman's, he does have a ratcheted joint also in the wrists. I want to like this figure because of its coloring. Its presentation is beautiful. I don't feel it's as good of a sculpt as Batman, and I guess that's the hard part. If this guy was released just on his own and no other figure was released from the Batman v Superman line, I think I would almost like this figure more. But just by sheer virtue of the fact that I've already had a look at Batman, by comparing the two, I feel like Superman kind of comes up a little bit short, unfortunately. Let me know down below, though, what you guys think of these particular figures. They are now in comic book stores. A little bit more expensive, as these are imports. These figures will cost you anywhere from $150 to $200, respectively. Today's collectible spot, though, we were having a look at the PlayArts Kai Batman v Superman. This was Superman. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more collectible spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.